My neighbor has a wife or a girlfriend. I've seen them kiss, hold hands, all of that. During the day, when his girl is at work, I noticed another girl's coming over during the day, but it's none of my business. But their door is like right by mine, and I see her every day come over, stay about an hour and so and leave, so I was like, man, let me do some detective work. I started noticing when she was leaving, she always had her hood on, always, and she'd scurry down the steps and go straight to her car quick, and then leave. He didn't walk her, nothing, just show up and leave. The next day, I'm parked and handicapped, and a cop is standing by my car. Greg, my neighbor, points at me and says it's his car, and I get ticketed. So I'm sitting here thinking, Gregory, you have no idea what you've done. So I'm just waiting until I see Greg's wife again, until she pulls in next to me, and I'm just thinking, wow, life is so sweet. I said, I haven't met you yet. I met Greg and his sister earlier today. She seems sweet. She said his sister. I said, yeah, she was out there today. She's been coming over a lot lately. She said Greg doesn't have a sister. Well, hearing Greg to be told leave, he's gone. My stomach is full. My car's in handicapped. What a life.
My little brother always thinks it's so funny to scare me when I get home, so today I wanted to get him back. We both have similar bears. Mine is the Tommy's, his is the Jersey. I'll switch the bears, get into mine, and hopefully get him. I've been moving his bear in his room for the past week. I'll be talking fast, so try to keep up. I was already cutting into the bear when I noticed I wouldn't even fit. The bear was way too small, so I asked my sister to come see if she was the right size, and it looked to be perfect. I told her about the plan, and she was down to help. We filled 5 Walmart bags with stuffing, and with some squeezing, she fit in, and this is how she looked. We moved up to my little brother's room to set up. We put on the shirt, and I got her into position. Apparently, she couldn't breathe, so I cut her a little hole, and I stuck my finger in there just to check it out. I texted my brother to get home ASAP because I got him some Chick-fil-A. We took some practice takes and analyzed the best position to put my sister. I saw his bus and waited for him to start walking up to the house to get my sister and the camera in position. It's go time.
Oh, fuck!
I was laughing in my brother's face when he said the most messed up part about this is I didn't get him Chick-fil-A, that fat fuck. This is me sewing at the end. How do you think I did?
Fast.
So these girls last night think we were born yesterday. They're up there shaving their legs. And they're like, Riley's like, hey, can we go to Joey's house? Well, who's all going to be there? Just Joey. So all 3 of you are shaving your legs? I wasn't. So anyways, so they go, 9:30 rolls around. They ask, hey, can we stay till 11? I'm like, well, who's going to bring you home? Well, his sister will bring us home. Well, how old is she? 21. Okay, whatever. So I look at him. He looks at me, and we're like, okay, bound chicka, wow, wow. Get that in real quick. 11:10 rolls around, and nobody's here. Call, FaceTime, no answer. FaceTime again, Riley answers the phone. Oh, her car won't start. Well, yeah, I've used that too, and it worked, but I lived in the ghetto. We're from the suburbs where the 16-year-olds drive a brand new car. Nice try.
Who saw it?
I didn't look.
You didn't look?
I don't care.
Everyone just Renee said delete it. Okay, I'm gonna try and fit this whole story in this one video, but listen, because it's actually really scary and it did happen, I swear to God. When I was 15, me and my friends used Omegle all the time, and eventually we started talking to this one guy a lot because we thought he was our age, so I added him on Skype. And I always kept tape on my computer, like on the camera, because I was scared that someone would be watching me somehow. One day I was FaceTiming my sister like 2 years later, and I took the tape off, and I'm notorious for having baths with my computer. So I brought my computer in the bath with me, and then all of a sudden this guy from 2 years ago started calling me nonstop, being like, answer the call now, I can see you naked. If you don't answer now, then I'm leaking your photos, leaking this video, blah, blah, blah. I tried blocking the guy so many times, but it just wasn't working. So I finally told my parents, even though I didn't want them to know I was talking to strangers, and they had me throw out my computer, blah, blah, blah. Next day at 4 in the morning on a school night, my phone started blowing up saying that someone was outside on my driveway. Like for part 2. Okay, I'll do a part 2 right now because I agree, I hate waiting too. So my phone was blowing up with calls, and eventually I decided to answer because I was like, you know what, it's probably my neighbor or something because we're good friends. So I finally answer, and it's just this voice that's like, come outside. And I was like, who is this? Like, what are you doing? Like, Jeffrey, is that you? And then they were just like, come outside. And they wouldn't stop saying that, so I just hung up. They kept on calling, so I was like, what do you want? Like, Jeffrey, like, what are you doing? It's a school night. We have to go to sleep. And then again, they were like, come outside. And I was like, why? And then the person was just like, because I want to see you naked. So they immediately hung up, and at this point I was like, hey, like, what the hell is going on? This is really weird. So I go upstairs and I look outside, and this is what I saw. We didn't have any cars in the driveway either, but there was a person standing right there, just silhouetted by the streetlights. just standing there not moving. I'm sorry 60 seconds isn't long enough like for part 3. Hey, I'm sorry I made you wait. I just wanted to do part 3 when it was dark outside for dramatic effect, okay? So you guys can imagine how much my heart dropped when I saw him standing like over there. That is just terrifying. So I knew right away that this guy was not my age and he must have been 20, 30, 40 years old, and I had no idea who he was. So immediately I locked all of the doors in the house and I called up a bunch of my friends who I knew were still awake to come up and check if it actually was some kind of creep. I was young and naive. I should have called the cops right away, I know. So they came up to my neighborhood and they checked and nobody was there. So I went down and I woke up my dad and I told him what had just happened. So we ended up calling the police and I had to give them my computer and all of that, and they looked into it and they never found this guy. To this day, I have no idea who this person was or where he is. Like, it's terrifying. Be safe.
I really hope this story time doesn't blow up because the person who it's about still has a police report filed against me. But basically, long story short, junior year homecoming football game against our rival school. My ex-best friend who I had just thrown hands with 2 weeks prior to all this goes to the rival school, okay? I'm just taking a nap. I wasn't planning on going to the game until my boy that I've been in love with for 7 years calls me up and goes, yo, Hannah, Bertram is in our student section. You gotta pull up right now. I was like, I bet. So I pull up. As soon as I walk in, all my friends decide to be petty and they start chanting for me. They go, Hannah, Hannah. I make eye contact. Neither of us are happy, but it's whatever. We take our seats and there's a rumor going around that somebody next to her had ripped up one of our school posters, which is a big no-no in our school. The seniors are already about to go ham on her ass because they know she's not from our school. I'm like, boys, don't worry, I got this. I stand up on the bleachers. I'm like, yo, if you're from rival school, get the fuck out of our stadium. And I swear to God, the entire student section rose up in holy matrimony, chanting, get the fuck out. She comes down to me. We make an eye contact. We about to go for another round 2 until somebody pulled her away. And then she just ended up filing a police report for bullying or some shit. I don't know.
Okay. Put a finger down if when you were 15 years old, you woke up at 3 in the morning and saw your older sister standing in the corner of your room watching you sleep, and when you asked her what the fuck she was doing, she said nothing and walked away, and then the next day at school, an older girl on your cheer team told you that your sister was talking about you in class, saying how she wanted to fucking kill you, and so that day after school, you went to her room and taped behind her door was a poem about how she wanted to smother you with a pillow, and you realized that she was not standing in the corner of your room just watching you sleep the night before. She was actually trying to fucking kill you. Your turn.
I asked for the non-fat.
I did put non-fat milk in there, ma'am.
No, I didn't taste the whole. It literally tastes like you put sugar. Like it tastes like sugar. I know what
Ma'am,
non-fat milk tastes like.
I can remake
I
it.
come here every single day. And it's always non-fat. This is not non-fat.
I can remake it if
This
you
is
want.
not.
So y'all have probably already heard of this place called McKinney Manor, and if not, stick around because that shit is insane. Like, crazy shit I've ever heard. So in order to get into McKinney Manor, you have to join a wait list of like 20,000 people, supposedly. This experience can last up to 8 hours, and basically Russ McKamey and his team are allowed to torture guests. Survivors have reported getting beaten, drowned, getting their nails ripped off, being fed weird things. You would think that something this elaborate would cost a lot of money, but Russ only asked for a bag of dog food to participate. Before entering, guests have to sign a 40-page waiver, have doctor approval, and have a one-on-one interview with Russ. I really wanted to go like 10 years ago because I thought it'd be interesting, but recently I did some more research, and this shit got even more sketch than you would think. Like for part 2.
One day my mom grounded me, which means I didn't have my phone, so I didn't have an alarm clock, so I overslept for school the next day. My brother drives me to school, and since I didn't have a phone, I didn't know that there was no school because of a snowstorm. Me and my brothers both being dumbasses don't see that there's no cars in the parking lot, so my brother drops me off and speeds away. I'm knocking on the door for like 20 minutes waiting for them to let me in. Nobody opens the door, bro. I'm like, is there no school today? Boom, it starts to snow, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm wearing ripped jeans with no jacket. I'm like, oh shit, what do we do now? I live like 15 minutes driving from the school. So I'm walking around looking if I can use somebody's phone. I knock on this lady's door. She opens up and I'm like, ma'am, can I please use your phone? I think she had dementia because she started screaming at me. And she's like, no, slams the door in my face. I finally find an angel like 2 streets down. And she's like, oh, of course, princess, come inside. And in my mind, I'm like, I've seen the horror movies. Thank you, ma'am, but I'm just going to stay outside. I call my mom to pick me up. And she's like, pick you up from where? I'm like, I don't know. I've been walking for 2 hours.
Put a finger down if last night you had this crazy dream that you were dating this guy that you met at a party from 2 years ago and you have not talked to him at all since, but you follow him on Instagram and you woke up from the dream and felt really good and you felt like you missed him, like it seemed so real and so vivid and you've never had a dream like that before. And then you freaking check your DMs on Instagram and he freaking DM'd you saying, "Hey, just wanted to see how you're doing. Do you remember me, LOL? Yes, of course. I'm doing all right. How about you? Doing good. Quarantine treating you well? Oh, it's a dream. What made you reach out?" Okay, this is gonna sound really weird. I say, I'm good with weird. He says, "I had a dream and you were in it last night. Not in like a creepy way, but I just thought I should reach out."